1, 2, 3, 4, get my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great. 9, gonna shine, life is good. I'm doing fine. 10, gonna do it right and do it again. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the EFM Health Club Podcast. My name is Justin Waring and we have reached the end of 2025 and I think we most likely have saved the best episode till last. We have a really interesting special guest today we'll introduce in a second. But first, Michael Jewson, the most flexible man at EFM. How are you?
Good. How are you guys? How's everybody?
Good, thank you, mate.
Raring
Good,
for Christmas.
And nearly there. We're nearly there. A couple more days.
And in his best Santa outfit, Wade Brady from EFM McGill. How are you?
Good, thanks. I know it's a podcast and people can't see me, Justin.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I know. So
We had
no
dress
point.
up. Everyone dressed up in their best Christmas attire this morning, and I've still got mine on. So
Yeah, that's your best
distracted
attire.
by the bright red.
That's the best.
Yeah,
Wearing like that all the time?
No, I don't. It's weird wearing it. It's always in the peripheral vision.
yeah.
Anyway,
So,
so yeah, we've got a guest today, and
Yep.
it's Juliette. She's been a member of our club for easily 10 years, and she's a GP, and we've had lots of interesting conversations over the years, and I think Juliette has a pretty interesting story about starting off as a GP, and then she's on the verge of starting her own business, which she'll tell us about. But
welcome, Juliette.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, awesome to be here. So as Wade said, I'm a GP and in the process at the moment of transitioning to my special interests, which is lifestyle medicine, which I think a lot of people probably haven't heard of that term. It's still new and up and coming. It's probably a little bit more up and coming overseas, but not also slowly here now in Australia. So really to me, it makes a lot of sense. Lifestyle medicine, we focus on preventing, but also managing and oftentimes reversing a lot of the chronic conditions that we deal with as GPs and any health professional these days. But really using the focus is on lifestyle measures. So we talk about 6 pillars, and 6 pillars being exercise, nutrition, sleep, emotional well-being, so like stress management as well, social connection, and substance avoidance. And I think that's pretty intuitive, right? Like it seems pretty easy, but funnily enough, a lot of us aren't really able to do all of that.
All 6, yeah.
That well,
Tick all of the
or
boxes,
even one of them. Yeah.
Might just hide that coffee while we anyway.
Well, and I think it ties nicely into EFM, right? So you've been a member for around 10 years, maybe a little bit more, this is like exciting for Michael and us to have a conversation with you because we talk about these 6 things constantly to our members, kind of getting feedback and helping where we can. And so it's going to be great to have a real solid base of knowledge. How did you get started with EFM? Do you remember?
I think it actually started for mental health reasons for myself. I think I was starting to notice that when I move, and I wasn't super physically active as a child. I played sports, but I didn't grow up in Australia originally, so sports wasn't a huge thing initially growing up until we moved to Australia. And I just noticed that when I did move, I felt good, and I wanted to get stronger as well. I don't know what drove that. Maybe my brothers. I got 2 older brothers. But the thing I remember initially was I felt so uncomfortable. I was like, I want to do it right. I don't want to get injured. So I need some guidance. And so the EFM formula just really appealed to me. And I said this to Wade initially as well. My plan was I'll start, and then once I know what I'm doing, then I'll leave and go somewhere cheaper. I just fell in love with it, and I couldn't leave.
Yeah. Wade has that effect on people.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I like that you say you mentioned there that exercising makes you feel better, just not only physically but mentally as well. It's a big one to come back to.
Mental well-being, I think, was a big factor for me.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
So we're kind of, with the 6 pillars, we're expanding beyond the normal like diet and exercise now, aren't we? As terms of, if you want to stay healthy, good diet, good exercise, and off you go. That's been kind of expanding over the last few years, and now it's becoming a bit of a specialty.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because I think over the last, and it's actually been a lot longer than I realized, there's been a lot of research done looking into, what's driving these chronic conditions, particularly, top 10 killers, things like heart disease, stroke, but also a lot of chronic conditions that people suffer with, like diabetes, overweight and obesity. We see these things all the time. And when people start to dive into it, the realization's there that a lot of what's driving these conditions, even though we all look at them separately and we treat them separately, the underlying process is the same. And our lifestyle choices play a significant role in driving these conditions. Of course, there's other factors as well, like genetics sometimes, but we always say, genes load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. So even though you can have a predisposition, if you're living a really healthy lifestyle, you can still massively influence the outcome of whether or not you're going to get a condition or how severe it is.
Yeah. And as a GP, do you think there's one of the pillars that we'll kind of delve into all of them, that people underestimate more than the others that they need?
Question?
Yeah, great question. Honestly, I think all of them in some ways we underestimate. The first one that came to mind was nutrition, but then I think also sleep is one that I think, but that's also becoming more spoken about now. So maybe people are more aware of it. Yeah.
Funny, I was going to say, which would you put on top? Like if you were starting from scratch, you didn't really do any of the 6 too well, which would you start with? Like, that's probably a hard question too. It's sort of like chicken or the egg. My guess would be probably sleep, because I know I'll make a lot better decisions when I'm better rested. But maybe you can't sleep because your diet's bad, you don't exercise. So
Yeah.
I don't want to answer your question, but could you put them in an order? Probably not. Maybe.
And you brought up a really important point, which is that they're all interconnected. So, if you're not eating well, it's going to affect how well you sleep. And if you're not sleeping well, we know from studies it affects certain hormones like ghrelin and leptin, which is what, affects our appetite. So you're not going to eat as well. You're going to make poor eating decisions. So that's just one example of how they're all connected. So I don't think you can put, it would be difficult. I think
You can't have one without the
my
other.
temptation would be to say nutrition, but I think they're all super important and they're all going to affect each other.
Yeah. So, let's start at nutrition, say, because there's lots of constantly changing kind of media advice, do this, do that, there's a report, don't eat this, don't eat that. And I feel like people are just so overwhelmed with information that now they're confused.
Yeah.
And so if we were going to start down a process with nutrition, what would you say would be some of the overriding kind of beliefs that you have over, getting your nutrition in order?
Yeah, and I just want to say I completely agree with you about the confusion. I think that's really important to emphasize. And I think it's also, I really sympathize with people because it is really hard to know what to believe. And one day you're hearing one fact and the next day it's completely the opposite. And I see this all the time. It is really confusing. And just to add to that factor, a lot of people will go to their GP or health professional for advice, but maybe what people don't realize is we don't get taught nutrition much at all during medical school. So
That's a really good point. Yeah.
I really think,
I remember you telling me at the time, a day?
I reckon we got less than that.
I think you told me half
like
a day.
a few
I
hours.
nearly fell over when you told me.
And it was really basic stuff like learning about macronutrients and, advice to give when someone has iron deficiency, but not actually looking at some of these, like, as I mentioned before, these major chronic conditions that's causing so much suffering for so many people, how powerful nutrition can be in some of those conditions. Like diabetes is an amazing example where I remember when I went through medical school, I got taught once someone has diabetes, they have it for life. They're going to be on medication for life, and that's that. And that it's, it takes away so much hope for an individual.
Well,
Yet now there's so much research showing that's not the case, and you can reverse diabetes a lot of the time. People can come off the medication. So it provides so much hope, I think. Anyway, I've diverged a little bit. So in terms of basic nutrition principles, I think one of the key principles is eating, and I think, again, it's intuitive, eating more whole foods. So avoiding processed foods. So, anything, often things that come in a package, because of two reasons. One, because we are taking away a lot of the good things. So as soon as we're processing a food, we're taking away fiber, phytonutrients, all these really healthy things that we want. But often we're also adding in things we don't want. So lots of, salt, oil, sugar, and these are the things that make them really tasty and, kick up our dopamine response and make us addicted to the food. So as a basic principle, I'd say we want to try and eat more whole foods.
Then there's all the numbers as well, which you don't get in whole food. Lucky colours and stuff.
Totally. Yeah. Completely unnatural. Yeah. And even things like they used to add trans fats to food. And then we find out later on that, oh, wait, this can be potentially cancer promoting. So there's things like that where if you're eating the food the way that you would have found it in nature, then that's already going to be a lot better, a lot more health promoting.
Yeah.
And then again, looking at the data, I don't know, have you guys heard of the blue zones?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the blue zones, they're areas that they did research looking at pockets around the world where people are the most condensed population that would live to at least 100 years old. So people that live the longest, and not only that, they're also the healthiest, so the longest disease-free.
Yeah.
And they then kind of tried to figure out what do they have in common. And a lot of what I've just been talking about, those 6 pillars, came up in that research. And then looking at their diet, they did find that it seems that their diet was more plant-focused, so involving more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and it's probably a bit like Mediterranean type diet.
Yeah.
So, and this is, so one of the places was Sardinia in Italy, in Greece as well. But then there's also Okinawa in Japan. So it's interesting. It doesn't seem like there's a genetic component there. It's definitely more lifestyle driven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there, I remember watching that TV show about the blue zones, and was there somewhere in South America, one of and they had a diet, and it was either sweet potato or pumpkin, beans, and something else, and they got all of the amino acids that they required. Am I remembering that? Because one of the, I guess, the plant-based diet is often, I guess, not a criticism, but it's like, well, how do you get all of the protein that you need for your diet?
Yeah, definitely one of the most common questions we get asked. And, I would say, well, where does someone who doesn't eat plants get their protein from? Well, they would tell me from, for instance, meat. Where does that animal get it from? Usually from plants.
Yeah.
So every plant has protein. And then people would talk about incomplete and complete proteins, which now is a bit of a myth. Like, plants have all the proteins as well in various quantities. So as long as you're eating a variety of food, like if you were eating just one food all day, every day, maybe you'd run into trouble. As long as you're eating a variety of foods, we say eat the rainbow, that, you're going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I think the thing we need to be more concerned about is where are you getting your fiber? We're very, very fiber deficient. And I think that's causing more problems. Yeah.
I'm just
Great
going.
point.
Sorry, guys, I'm dominating all questions. You guys jump in. Just in terms of processed food, right? So the supermarket's full of packets everywhere, things in a box to eat. I guess something I thought about recently is that we're relying on the food companies to feed us healthy food, right? Whether that's always in their best interest is up for debate. I mean, I know there's food standards and whatever, but we're relying a bit like putting trans fats into foods previously, we're relying on giant food companies to provide us healthy food. And that's probably, we should turn that focus back onto ourselves.
I very, very early in my career, we were talking about energy drinks, and I naively said to one of my members at the time, Effie, I said, it was that bad, the government wouldn't pass it. And she just threw her head and she just went, oh, wait. And in that moment, I thought, oh, okay, I need to open my eyes probably a bit more. And, it would be great if we could trust the government, to completely look after us from start to finish. But as we know, or as I know now, there's a lot of influence from industry on government, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, but you just made me think of that story. Yeah. And, the government's, you got to take your own, as you said, you got to be responsible for yourself. There's a lot of information out there. You can get the right information, and then the confusion stuff can come into it too. And we can overcomplicate a lot before when you were talking about getting back to basics and eating how people would have eaten hundreds of years ago. And then my brain's sort of like, but there's not as much nutrients in the soil, so the food's not as good as it used to be. But that's probably just a really little around the edge factor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's, again, forget about that. That's not really a thing.
Yeah, it's like people will ask me, but do I need to eat organic, or do I need to eat local, this or that? There's all these obviously little tweaks that you can make, but the bigger picture is way more important. Like you're going to get most bang for your buck just eating whole foods and including lots of plant foods as well. It's a bit like with exercise, right? Like you can overcomplicate an exercise program and, but at the end of the day, you just need to move more, really, and include some strength or resistance or something like that. Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to take this one. I say this to the members: if you come in here and you just do bicep curls, you're going to have great biceps, but you're not going to get the overall body look that you are looking for whatever reason you're looking for it. Same with food. If you are eating one food, you're going to have one thing maybe happening, and it might not be a good thing. You could have the variety. And it's really simple. I mean, obviously there's different places do different things, like we're talking about the blue zones. Okinawa, there's a lot of seaweed involved in the food over there, and whole foods. I'm not vegetarian, so I'm not going to say, take the meat out, but there's a lot of, as I love what you said too, there's a lot of protein in meat in vegetables as well. So people think, how does a vegetarian get their protein? It's in a lot of the vegetables out there too. So it's a variety of everything. You've just got to have a bit of everything. Same with exercise.
Yeah.
I think the bull, when someone was trying to convince me of this one day, and they said, have you ever seen a bull or like a big red kangaroo? And they're muscle on top of muscle, and they eat plants. So it makes me wonder if some of the information that we're told is wrong, like the amount of protein per 100 grams or whatever. Like that'd be my guess. It's not exactly.
Yeah, they're now putting that into question a bit more as well, where those normal values come from, and it's not just protein; it's other things as well that those normal values are not exactly always based on good research. So,
like I think peanut butter's one that's recently been added to the list for high in protein. I guess once upon a time, I didn't really think of, most people probably didn't think of that as one of the things that's high in protein. So it just makes me wonder what's next, like maybe it's more legumes are higher in protein than we realise. It'd be interesting to watch as time goes on.
Mars bars will be high in protein soon too.
Well, they will be that'll say it on the packet. Exactly.
Yeah. Should we move on to another one?
Yeah.
Do you guys
want to bring up sleep next?
Yeah, go away. Sleep a big one for me.
Well, I'll just speaking to Juliette and Jim in the club. She said she could talk about sleep all day, so we better not leave it to the end. We might run out of time. So, but I think when I'm well slept, I'll feel way more like exercising, and I make better food choices. But when I'm dog tired, I'll skip the workout, go home, and just start eating chips while I'm waiting for the pan to heat up. So I think that's a good place to go next. Sleep.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important, and I certainly underestimated it for a long time. Like, I can think of countless of years, staying late, doing often studying in med school and other things. So, and I think there was a culture for a while that was like, oh, well, if you're sleeping, then you're not working hard enough, and I'll sleep when I'm dead. But now, there's so much research showing how vital sleep is for the functioning of pretty much all of our organs, and mental well-being is a huge one. There's studies regarding sleep and mental well-being are very strong. So, and I think I always think back to I can't believe we weren't taught this in medical school, because I think the amount of, especially as a GP, patients that I see with mental health issues, and I doubt many of us would think about screening for sleep or sleep problems and talking about sleep. Where it's such an important thing. But there's been studies that have shown it can significantly reduce our risk of heart disease, stroke, diabetes. It's really important for our appetite management. So it shows that we see that people generally can manage their weight better when they're better slept. It's really important for our immune function. There's been links to certain reduction in cancers when you're sleeping better. Honestly, the list just goes on.
When your body's healing, like the gym, you break your muscles down. A lot of the healing process happens in sleep.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, and studies have shown athletic performance is so much better with better sleep as well. Recovery's better, less injuries. So if you could put everything, all the benefits of sleep in a pill, you would be a very rich person. But
So, and you mentioned before, at the start then, about sleep. So you're kind of people burn the candles at both ends. If someone's working and studying, so my wife just finished uni, so she's working full time and doing a master's, and there's not enough hours in the day. So it was always a discussion, do I go to bed early and get up early to try, because I've got to get the work done, or do I stay up late and maybe sleep in a little bit? Is there something, and I'm assuming there's lots of people out there going, well, I'm just flat out, I don't know what to do. Is there a better option? Do you go to bed early and get sleep before midnight, or do you just keep going through the night and try and sleep in the next morning? Is there one better than the other?
That's a really great question. And I think that you're touching on sort of what are the things, the ways of optimizing sleep, because it's not, to answer that question, I think we need to sort of know what are the factors that make up good quality sleep, because we all, we hear about, you need to get your 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That's not enough. It's also about, that's quantity. It's also about quality and regularity. We're seeing now regularity is super, super important. So let's
regularity of go to bed, get up, or the amount.
Going to bed and getting up at the same time every day. Yeah. So
that's
got to do. That's got to do with our circadian rhythm, and our circadian rhythm is sort of like our master clock. And I talk to people and I still say it's a bit like the conductor of an orchestra. So the master clock and the orchestra, you've got our organs have their own little internal clock, but they need to know from your master clock when they need to operate at what time. So, and that master clock is primarily set by daylight. So if we see the moment we wake up in the morning and we get daylight exposure, generally daylight, you can also get it from artificial light, but it's better at daylight. That sort of tells our circadian clock, it's daytime, I need to start doing daytime things. And it starts to let all the other organs know, your digestive system, your alertness system, all of these systems, how they should be operating. And it also sets you up for sleep that night already. So that's why regularity is one of those really important factors. They say potentially even more important than quantity. But again, all of these factors are important. So in your example, I would say, if you're really struggling to find that time, starting maybe with trying to just have regularity, and setting the same, and probably more important is the wake up time. So making sure you're waking up at the same time every day, and then ideally you work backwards from that and say, okay, well, how many hours ideally should I get? And that's your bedtime. So
one quick one, I want to run one past you. I recently picked up somewhere that what a lot of people do is try and catch up. on the weekend. So they might do a lot of 6 hours during the week and then put some 9s in to try and catch it up. And I've heard that you can't actually catch it up, but you can get ahead and have like credits. So if you've been consistently getting 8 hours, same bedtime, same get up time over and over, and then you have one late night and then get up again at the same time again the next morning, you actually feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Because you're sort of in credit and you're using up the credits, but you can't actually go into debt and get it back. Is that what you're?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can sleep bank. So if you know, like, oh, I've got an event coming up and I'm going to get a really late night, I'm going to miss out on some sleep or whatever it may be. If you can increase your sleep in the lead up to that, then it's going to buffer the impact of that sleep. It won't fully, but it will buffer it to some extent. Whereas, the other way around, if you've had poor sleep and then you try and nap and it doesn't really make up for it.
When I heard that, I thought that's what I'd agree. Like, I wasn't fully aware of it, but when I heard it, I thought, yes, I reckon that is how I've felt like myself. I don't know if you guys have experienced that as well. Justin, I don't even know if it does sleep. Do you sleep, Justin?
Justin sleeps like a baby, don't you, Justin?
I do. As soon as my head hits the pillow at any time, I'm out and I sleep.
Good quality, not so much quantity.
I've no idea. So we were talking before. So I opened the gym I'm at the gym at 5:15 this morning. I woke up at 3:45 because I'm about an hour from work. And it's school holidays, luckily for me. Normally I'd get up, make lunches for everybody and then run off to work. So I will catch up on sleep tonight a bit. But I seem to be able to do a couple of 8 or 9 hour days, like sleep days, and I feel 100%. I'm not in the habit though. So, well, in saying that, I'll still get up at 6 a.m. or 5 if I want to go for a run on a weekend. But I'll just go to bed a little bit earlier. My issue, and next question was going to be about shift workers, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes I feel I shouldn't say that. I'm not like a shift worker. I'll get home at 9:30, have dinner, and then be going to bed at 10:30, 11, and then getting up at 3:30, 3:45 to get to work the next morning. That's not like a shift worker though. The shift worker that does the night shift and the day shift. And is there any advice around for those people? Because like I'm kind of doing it
Good
to myself.
question.
I remember there was a show, just quick, I remember a show on TV years ago. It was like, How Long Will I Live? And you sat down with your notepad and you had to score everything. And at the end, you had your age. And I remember the first question was, do you do night shifts? And I thought, this is years ago. And in that moment, I thought, that's obviously really bad for you because they've put that first. And it's like, if you do night shift, this is not good for you. So it's something I think we've done for a very long time.
I'm not as bad as a night person who does night shift. Like I just get home late and I get up early. So like I'm not complaining. I'm all right. But
sounds like you're shifting your get up time maybe a couple of hours. Like even though you might get up at 6, it's still a sleep in.
I move.
That's a good question. A lot of us coaches do that. We're in bed maybe 9 o'clock, 9:30 if we're lucky, but we are up early the next day. Do it all again. We have got all day. And some of my members might think I sleep all day, but we don't. It's a great question. How do you sort of manage that? Because I struggle with my sleep quite a lot, actually. That's a big one for me. And also to add on to it, how nutrition would sort of play into it, do you think?
Yeah, okay. All amazing questions, and you're not alone. I mean, I think what we see from the data as well is that most people will have, during the work week, they're sleeping at a certain time, and then on the weekend often will sleep in or will go to bed later, and so we're having these shifts constantly in sleep. So we're moving away from that regularity, I suppose, which is what I was just talking about. And in a way, you can think of it like you're creating a jet lag, essentially. So it's as though you're traveling to another time zone every time you do that.
Oh, interesting. Very.
Yeah. So our circadian rhythm loves regularity. Our brain just really thrives on it. So ideally, if during the week, obviously we're a little bit constrained by our responsibilities. So ideally, you would try and match those times as well on the weekend. Now, if you're someone that, because, and I realize I always get mindful when I'm talking about these things because it can feel very overwhelming. And it's like, gee, this is not very, realistic. I've got kids, I've got this and that. I'm caring for an elderly parent, aging parent or something. I completely understand. And I think it's important to emphasize that, you want to try and get as close to the ideal, but even I don't get to the ideal. Like even like last night's a great example. I didn't get there at all. So, we have to be forgiving for ourselves. But if we want to optimize our sleep and feel the best, then we want to try and get that regularity. So
I think this is good to know, like, because when you do have the opportunity to go to bed early on a weekend, you think, oh, I want to watch one more episode. If you actually understand what's going on, you go, you know what, I will go to bed now. But yeah, obviously things are going to have parties and stuff are going to come up. But knowledge is power.
Yeah. We've got to live our life as well, right? Yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question in terms of, I think that idea of trying to match your weekend with your weekday, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, as best you can.
Yeah.
And then there's napping as well, which napping from the research, it's fine and it can be helpful. But the time when I wouldn't recommend napping would be if you're someone who really struggles with sleep. So one of the things that drives our sleep is a molecule called adenosine. And so we call this like the homeostatic sleep drive. I think that's a bit of a too fancy word. I like to call it like our sleep appetite. So how hungry are you for sleep? And so during the night, our body clears this adenosine and it's like we become really satiated. We feel, really full with sleep. And then from the morning, as we get throughout the day, as long as we're awake, we get hungry and hungry and hungry for sleep. That adenosine builds up. And actually coffee blocks adenosine receptors in your brain. So that's why it makes you feel less sleepy. And it's one of the reasons why if you're having issues with sleep, you may want to try minimizing it. But when it comes to napping, it's the same thing. It will kind of, like feed that appetite a little bit.
Yeah.
So that means by the time you get to nighttime, you're not going to feel as sleepy. It's going to be a little bit harder to fall asleep. So for people who struggle with falling asleep or staying asleep, it may actually be really helpful to avoid napping. But if you're someone who doesn't have that issue and you found yourself a little bit short in sleep, then it's fine, And I would then say try and do that before 3 p.m. though. Yeah. So then it's not interfering with your night time.
I find naps save me so often. I've got very good napping. And I find just those power naps, like, I don't know, 10 minutes, whatever they are, it's just like it's a little hitting the reset button.
Yep.
So if I'm sitting at my laptop trying to do some work and I just cannot function, I'm beside myself, I'm like, I'm just going to go and lay down to sleep for 10 minutes and it resets. And I don't know how many people are lucky enough to have that opportunity with their jobs, like, but then a lot of people don't start work at 6 in the morning either. So I don't know. Do you guys nap at all? And it makes me think of Italy. Like it's a thing. Cultures. It's obviously got to work. You think about everyone.
The siesta.
Yeah.
I mean,
sorry.
No. As well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have tried the napping thing, but I tend to. I agree. I then don't sleep that night if I do, and I don't really wake up feeling refreshed. I'm usually still tired, and it's not even really the body; it's the mind. I think for me that keeps me awake. My mind's just going crazy all the time. So by the end of the day, I'm sort of finding it hard to settle. So napping doesn't really help. Although I want to, I feel like I do want to. I try not to.
Would you put a lot of, I don't know, like, let's say no blue screens, like don't do all these things before bed. Do you put a lot of emphasis on those types of things?
Yeah, so we kind of package that into what we call sleep hygiene. So, and that can actually be really helpful, particularly people who struggle with sleep, but even just in general. And it's got to do again with what drives our circadian rhythm. You may have heard of melatonin, the hormone, which is like our nighttime hormone. So that signals we're supposed to be doing nighttime things. It's not a sleep hormone. I think sometimes people think it causes us to sleep. It doesn't. It's, a signal for nighttime. So having lights at night, just recently there was a study, I think, that kind of went against the blue light thing. It's probably more of how bright the light is. Those things can then minimize how much melatonin we make, and therefore, again, it's a signal to our brain to say it's still daytime. So I'm still supposed to be doing daytime things. So for that reason, dimming the lights. What I now have gotten in the habit of doing, when I see it getting dark outside, I start dimming my lights at home, and particularly overhead lights. It's okay to use things a bit lower down, particularly if it's got like a red hue to it. That doesn't seem to trigger the same signals. So that can just help to already start signaling to your brain, I'm winding down. It's time to slowly ease into the nighttime things. Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's, even as kids, we really try and structure this bedtime routine where you maybe have a bath, read a book, and then or brush your teeth and then go to bed.
Because we know our kids thrive on that routine.
Yeah.
For some reason we think we're different.
Yeah, and as adults, like we see that as well. Having a bit of a routine can really help. And there's environmental things too, like making sure your bedroom is nice and cool. Our body temperature has to drop by about 1 degree to fall asleep. So if you're in a warm environment, it's going to be harder. And making sure it's dark enough. Yeah, not too loud or noises that are going to wake you up. It's all pretty.
What time would you cut off coffee? I know you got a decaf.
Coffee generally around noon is probably the best. Caffeine's got quite a long half-life, so you'll still be in your system at night.
Well, one quick personal question I find, and Mike, I've got a feeling you might have been going down this path. I get to about mid-morning, 3 o'clock, and my last couple of hours of quality of sleep, it's like I've had enough to start my brain. I've had enough sleep for my brain to get active now, and I can't sleep the best for the last couple of hours, and I don't wake up feeling refreshed very often. Could that be the late coffee? Or it could be a whole magnitude of things, I think. But like sometimes I've got up and actually started doing stuff and then gone back and had a half an hour. I don't know. I've tried all sorts of different things, but is that a common one? I get to sleep fine, but that 3 in the morning?
Yep, absolutely. And there can be many reasons for that. And Mike, what you described as well, that, the racing thoughts at night, often nighttime when we're in bed and it's quiet and there's no distraction, that's the perfect time for our brain to start analyzing everything and to think, which is not the ideal time when you want to try and fall asleep. And it's a really common thing. One thing I probably do want to touch on before I forget, which is related to that, that can help in those sort of scenarios. We talk about you want to try and create an association with your bed as being a place of sleep. So again, our brain really likes to associate with things. So very quickly what can start to happen is if you're spending a lot of time awake in bed, or you're on your phone in bed, or a lot of things like that, it starts to associate bed with an area where you're not asleep and you're doing other things. So roughly, generally, the rule that we give is if you're in bed and you're trying to fall asleep and it's been roughly 15, 20 minutes without looking at the clock, obviously, because that's not going to help, and you haven't been able to fall asleep, or say you've woken up in the middle of the night and this happens and you can't get back to sleep, it's been 15, 20 minutes, it's actually better to get out of bed, try and go to another room, make sure this is still dimly lit, because bright lights are going to trigger a daylight reaction, and do something calming, not too, stimulating, and then wait until you start to feel sleepy again. And for some people, that can be a really long time. And then try and go back to bed. So you're never really in bed for long periods of time, not asleep. And initially, people that kind of look at me when I say that and go, are you crazy? Like, I'm not going to sleep if I do that. Like, I'm going to be spending all night awake. And that may happen. But you may often, when it comes to solving sleep problems, we have to make it worse first before it can get better. But by doing that, it not only makes that sleep hunger more prominent for the next night, which is good, it also starts to recreate this association with our bed of like, oh, when I'm in bed, I'm resting, I'm asleep.
That's for sleep.
And then it gets easier.
That's a great one. I love that. I'm going to try that.
Give it a go. Hopefully it helps.
Thank you. That's a good one.
But quickly, after sleep, we know exercise is good for us, and you can confirm that helps us sleep.
Oh, one of the best things you can do.
Okay. All right. Let's go to What else is on the list, Justin?
Is
Social.
that, emotional well-being, stress.
Yeah, which I think
Yeah.
is again very intuitive. That's been linked to a lot of other health conditions as well. Having poor emotional health or high levels of stress can be associated with creating this chronic inflammation type process, and that in turn is associated with things like heart disease, stroke, diabetes, autoimmune conditions, things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the best advice on that would just be join an EFM. You'll get all of the emotional well-being that you need.
Unless you have a coach like Wade.
Well, exactly.
Wow. Okay.
What are you doing over there, Wade?
With the you've thrown me now, Juliette. I wasn't expecting that. You're usually nice to me. With the stress thing, if you come into your EFM and at the end of the day and you stress your body by lifting weights and stuff, I guess that has the adverse effect on the mental stress, I guess, that you've had from your day. I've not ever thought about it like that before, but that's a good stress on your body, surely.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah. We're talking more about that emotional drain, emotional stress, physical exercise, and
Well, just again last night, I felt quite stressed, and I got out there lifting heavy weights, and the stress I put on my body, the other stress went down, or the other one went up, and I felt great after my session. It happens every time. So
it's definitely a very different process. Yeah.
And I guess in a lot of ways we're preaching to the converted on here. People are interested in health and fitness if they're listening to this. It's the people. I mean, I think there's a whole range of people out there that don't believe that exercise is going to make them feel emotionally better and stress.
Stress relief.
Yeah. I said. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that's probably why most people continue with their exercise. They start to lose. Well, they start for aesthetics reasons, and I think they keep going for the feeling.
I said this to you many times, haven't I, Wade, where I wish there's a way of bottling up the feeling that we get after exercise and letting people who haven't exercised feel that.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best sell of all.
Yeah.
It's not even, the physical things that you get from it and the strength and all of that and the confidence, but also just after every workout, just that switch that you feel in your mental well-being. It's so powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that a lot of people don't get to. They don't get to that point where they're getting those results, those feelings when they finish a workout. They might not get to that point. They haven't been going enough. And again, that's where you come down to that regularity, I guess, with the exercise.
Well, every now and again, I'll drop down to one session a week, just here and there. I'm just a human. And I make a joke to people. I say, God, training once a week. I said, no wonder people that only train once a week don't want to do any more. It's horrible because you never get properly fit. And it's hard. Like if you're trying to push yourself when you're underdone, it's not the most enjoyable experience. But when you're fit, especially as fit as Juliette over here, you're working out, it's still a challenge and you still push yourself, but you thrive. You thrive on it and feel fantastic.
I think there's definitely that phenomenon, isn't it? The things that you get good at, you enjoy more. I think that's been my experience.
Bulgarians?
Exercise,
Yeah.
Social connection and then substance avoidance are our last two pillars.
Yeah. So I think social connection, this is something that has obviously drastically changed since, social media especially and our devices. And even though the idea was it was going to connect us more, I think in reality, in a lot of ways, has made us more disconnected.
I agree.
Yeah.
The sales pitch will connect us more. I think the people that put it in front of us realise there's $1 to be made.
Yeah.
If I can be a cynic for a second, sorry.
Yeah, I think I like that too a little bit.
No, that's true.
That real connection, that deep connection that we feel with people, and that you feel seen, you feel heard. And I think this is often also why part of the reason why religious communities would do so well health-wise is also they have that real community, that sense of connection. We see this in certain cultures as well, families living really close together. That it is, again, shown in research how important that is, not just for our mental well-being, but our physical well-being. Like this, again, can reduce the risk of heart disease, certain cancers. Like, I'm going to sound like a broken record by the end of this, but it's just true. Like, it really has a profound effect.
Like pets.
Yeah.
I guess that's like a social connection in a way.
Yeah, that's a form. Yeah.
You've probably all heard of like how elderly people might be stuck at home or living on their own, and a pet can really change their outlook on life and their health.
Yeah, but I also do think that we all do need a human connection as well.
Yeah.
To that. Yeah.
It's an interesting topic with the kids being brought up these days with that type of connection instead of the connection. I mean, we're online now, but a lot of us remember the days of not having those phones and being able to go and see a friend. And if you made that commitment with a friend, you couldn't text them halfway through the journey to say, "Oh, I'm going to be late." You just had to be there. And if you were late, you were late. A lot of the kids these days don't know that time, and that they have a different connection, a different sense of connection. I think that's something to understand. And I don't agree with it. I think it's a problem that they don't know how to connect in the same way that we do. Unfortunately, I think the world's shaped these days that they don't have to, and that's probably another big problem. Government, puts it out there, but they've got the product out there that's continuing to happen. So the kids are just following it. They're doing it because they can. It's out there.
Yeah.
As long as we have social media, I think we're too connected, I would say.
Yeah. And also, as we spoke about before, that the other pillars that we, for instance, sleep. There's studies that have shown people who have less sleep, they then have a higher desire to be by themselves, or less desire to go and seek out connection. So I don't want all the blame on social media, but I think it is a big factor in why we're seeing such a spike in people reporting loneliness.
Yeah.
Yes.
And finally, substance abuse. What are we including coffee in substance abuse? I hope not.
I think the focus is more on, so the idea is avoiding harmful substances. And I would say coffee is not necessary. I don't know that we can say that it's harmful. And dose makes the poison as well, right? So we always have to think about that too. It's more talking about other substances. Tobacco would be the most obvious one. We know that that's not good for us. So it's more talking about that, and drug use, alcohol. Unfortunately, I mean, now the more recent data coming out, WHO as well, saying that there's no safe amount. Those guidelines seem to keep changing forever. Like it was definitely more lenient back in the day, and now it's just getting less and less. And it seems to be that there is no safe amount. So as hard as it is to hear that. So
and the prevalence of vaping too now. I'm seeing more and more people. I don't know how they get them, but vapes.
Which again, has its whole other range of problems, potentially lung problems, particularly in young people as well. They're not meant to be doing these things, I think.
I heard the other day that there's more smokers in the world than ever today, because the smoking companies have got into third world countries.
Oh, I see.
And their education is where ours used to be, I think. So.
That's
interesting.
Interesting. So there are 6 pillars, or should be pretty easy from here.
Piece of cake.
So I think Juliette should just give her new little business a plug, which is not up and running yet, is it? I guess you can still consult.
Next year, hopefully.
Next year.
It'll be up.
It's got the name and the logo organised. So what's it called? Is this? Oh, we should have
confidential.
Should plan this way.
When I launch it, I will.
You can keep us waiting. So there you go. Something to look
surprise.
forward to.
Yeah. Have you got any? Do you have any? Well, social media. Can we find you anywhere? Do you put out information or anything like that?
Not yet, but no, I do want to start doing that more. I think for a long time, I don't, as you may have noticed, I really try to practice what I preach.
Yeah.
So I have tried to avoid social media so far, but I think it would be helpful to spread some healthy messages.
The only thing about social media. It's
Yeah.
you can learn some good stuff on there, and you can
Yeah.
get some good motivation. Like every day I see a video of another 80-year-old that started training at 80 or in their 70s, and now they're doing this, and you're just like, oh my God, I didn't know that was possible. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
I think we're in the same boat. I mean, none of us would really use social media unless, like, we all have our own businesses and we're like, okay, this is a way I can get my information to people. And then you consume a little bit and you can get some really good things and some real rubbish too.
a
Again,
lot of distraction.
Yeah.
yeah. So
There's definitely value to be had there, but
yeah.
so
So
tricky that it's hard to filter out. It'd be nice if you can just have the valuable stuff.
Yeah.
Just to tie a bow on this though, I don't like that saying, but I'll use it. Would you say that you're a GP, you felt frustrated that you were getting people at the end of the line when the damage was done earlier, so now you'd want to get on the other end and basically just prevent people having to go and see a GP
Yeah,
later down the track?
I always said, that a sign that you're being a good health professional is that you're running yourself out of business, essentially. Yeah, and what amazed me as I've been going down this path, I do a lot of talks now related to lifestyle medicine. It amazes me actually still how little people know about some of these ins and outs. But then at the same time, I think back and I'm like, actually, I also didn't know. And, I did get to med school, so it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a shame because it's not just about, a lot of times I think people assume it's about living longer.
Yeah.
Of course, that's nice. No one wants to die prematurely. But for me, it's more about the quality of your life. Like if you really, I try and always boil it back down to what really matters to you. Like what are you living for? And often people say things like, no, it's your family. It's spending time with your kids. It's being able to do something that you're passionate about. It's, things like that. But if your health is not, if you're unhealthy or you've got a condition or something, it very quickly becomes hard to do those things. And that's why I think that's where my passion comes from. Like,
I guess your living stops. You're still alive, but your living life is stopped.
Yeah, it's like I want people to be healthy so they can do the things that matter. And at the end of the day, actually, it's really simple. It's the lifestyle things we just have to get right. We live in a world now that it is harder because we're so busy and all this, competing demands to perhaps make it work. But
it's possible.
When you do, I think, and this is what I saw in my GP practice, when I had the possibility to get someone to change their lifestyle, the effects on their life were so profound. And often the thing that they originally came in for, like I will never forget this lady, she was initially came to me for weight loss, and we started slowly addressing different lifestyle factors. Funnily enough, her weight loss didn't happen that drastically, quickly, because it doesn't. But all these other things started to change, like aches and pains that started to go away, having more energy, being able to sleep better. She was connecting better. She was starting to socialize more. And the overall quality of life just was such a phenomenal change. And all of a sudden, this goal of weight loss wasn't that important anymore anyway. So
you got a bit more job satisfaction.
Great example.
You got a bit more job satisfaction out of that than writing a script, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yes. So it would be a good idea for everyone listening and everyone out there to really go have a look at those pillars and see where they factor into their lives and which ones maybe they are stronger and which ones need improvement.
And
would you agree?
You would agree?
Absolutely, yeah. And I would say start with one small thing.
One thing, yeah.
When you look at assessing all those 6 pillars, if there's one thing that stands out, you think, I think I can do that. Start with that.
Don't be afraid to ask for help, because there's so many people that look after these 6 all at once or independently. Yeah. And, vulnerability is a superpower. Like if you're too proud to ask for help, well, you can do it on your own, but it might take longer and you're
a lot harder. Yeah.
You want to set yourself up for success. So,
All right.
Excellent.
Thanks, Juliette.
Juliette.
Given your business and social media career and YouTube stardom is coming, we can say we launched your career and business. So we'll be happy with that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good one.
All right. Well, that'll do us for today and for 2025. It's been a long year. So we're going to take a few weeks off. I'm sure I haven't discussed it with the boys, but I'm taking a few weeks off, and we'll be back in the new year bigger and better with great guests like today and lots of interesting topics.
Some other good ones.
Sure.
Yes, exactly. Find us on our Instagram, EFM McGill, EFM Underdale, and EFM Westmead, and the EFM Health Club Podcast. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you next year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
See you guys.
Thanks, boys.
See ya.
Thanks, Juliette.
Thanks, guys.
1, 2, 3, 4, get my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great. 9, gonna shine, life is good. I'm doing fine. 10, gonna do it right and do it again, yeah. I look into the sky with all the beautiful color, but there's more than just for me, so gonna share it with another. I got to show, to give, let out. I want to sing and shout. Take a look and see a beautiful morning that turns into a beautiful evening, and together make a beautiful life. And if you wanna see, then come along with me, that's right. And if you want a good tomorrow, it's pretty simple, got a final life to follow. And if you do, you have a future real bright. And it's a combination of consistency, come on.